Alrighty, let's begin. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smudcast number 615, Resurrection, my most hated anime trope. I don't know about you guys. Some stories involve resurrection a lot, and that's part of the narrative. It's part of the character. The idea of Fate Stay Night, of having these resurrected heroes from yesteryear or thousands of years ago come back from the dead and fight an eternal war against others so that they can get some prize. That's part and parcel of the story. So that makes sense. That's like, okay, I could buy it. Some galactic force.
Yeah, they also aren't really humans anymore. They aren't mortals as they used to be. It's transformative a bit.
Yeah,
so it's more like mythological figures at that point.
Yeah, and they're bigger than life. They're physically, mentally, spiritually, supernaturally, whatever. So it's okay. But in general, you really have to know what you're doing with your lore to create fantasy or science fiction to allow characters to be resurrected. And this is the same problem in Western comic books and pretty much any story when you have things that break reality. You need to have essential backdrop, setting, world building, technology, explanation, how this works. That's it. Once you have that, you're fine. The problem becomes how often does it happen within a narrative. I always talk about the Scythe trilogy from Neil Shusterman, where everyone is nanomachined up to the wazoo. They're immortal, and there's this group of people who kill themselves, and they're called squatters or splatters because they jump from a huge height. And their bodies just gets splatted on the ground, and then the robots come and pick them up and bring them to a hospital, and they get repaired. And the story of Scythe is because people don't die. There's overpopulation, so the scythes are a group of people that go around and randomly kill people, and that's how we keep population in check. And there's a whole conspiracy of how that happened and why the scythes were created and what made people decide upon that and why people can't go to space. There's a whole conspiracy behind that too. It's a cool series. I wrote about it years ago on my blog and also on here, but there's plenty of stories about people dying, coming back to death. It's pretty common to cheat death, whether you're talking about the Bible or any mythos, really. Going back to not the Upanishads, but the Sumerian texts of seeking out immortality and never gaining it, despite wanting it so badly that you would give up everything for it. So. Not an original story, but very, very popular topic in stories. So, okay. Let's cover this person. What we got here? She is Red Bard. This video came out 5 years ago. It's got 360,000 views, and she is a 240,000 sub YouTuber. Good for her. Bravo. She has 15,000 upvotes and 1.2 thousand downvotes. I don't know why there's so many downvotes. We tried watching.
Find out.
Yeah,
we will find out.
We tried watching. I don't know about you guys. I tried watching the first 10 seconds or the first 5 seconds, and my ears just exploded.
Oh God, please no.
Yeah, she talks very fast. She talks very loud, and she has a slightly shrill voice. So,
does she have the horrible music that Red has?
No, not that one.
Okay, let's see. That's 1 point already for her.
Okay, so when I hit play, just turn the volume down. It's already at. Let me check. It's already at it's less than 80%.
Oh God.
So just watch your eardrums, guys. Here we go.
You know what I like about
Oh my
Fullmetal
God.
Alchemist? The fact that it's an entire anime dedicated to the concept of once a character dies, they stay dead.
Okay, so here we go. Already, I'm a little concerned. The story of Fullmetal Alchemist is a story about two kids whose parent dies. And
the mother dies, and the father is going for cigarettes, basically.
And he's an immortal, essentially. And,
yes.
And they try to bring her back to life. That doesn't work. And there's all these ramifications. They pay this huge price, and then they go on this journey to solve that problem. And I don't know if everyone stays dead in this story, but there's a lot of talk about death. And
yes, life and resurrection.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty old anime now. Anyone who hasn't seen it yet, my God, go watch Alchemist Brotherhood. Holy shit. And if you haven't yet, skip the next 10 seconds. There is a thing worth of exchange for getting back at least someone's body. Whether return to life is another question. But that thing, the equivalent exchange is your actual alchemist power. If you relinquish that, you get the shit you want.
Yeah. There's a lot of ins and outs and rules, and they keep not changing the rules, but adding to the rules as the story progresses, especially near the end, where they reveal what's behind the door and all the powers that be, why these powers exist in the world and how to use them and all this jazz. So it's all interconnected, which is good. So it's pretty coherent, but there's lots of hard to grasp concepts at times with the homunculi and what they do and how they survive and all this jazz. Some of them look like they die and then they just get back up. So maybe
some are better off dead.
Yes, yeah, it's hard to grasp because they need like fuel to survive, and people is pretty much the fuel, and so yeah, it's technically they do stay dead, but I know what you're saying.
I was more referring to the dog.
The dog.
Hi, doggy.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, the dog from Fullmetal Alchemist. Yeah. The meme.
All right.
Thought you were talking about the room.
It's the same thing, essentially.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Get at it, Dragon Ball bullshit. If you try to revive anyone, not only are you gonna fail miserably, but you have a pretty good chance of dying yourself. Yeah, hope you weren't attached to those limbs or that body of yours, cause fuck you, and fuck the shonen anime you clearly just finished marathoning, but that ain't how things work in good anime.
I wouldn't call Dragon Ball bad just because they have a revive mechanic, because that means they have to invent different stakes. The whole thing is the Earth Dragon Balls, at least, you can only do that once with them per person.
Yes, but they invented like a mechanic that, like, if you do that with the Namekian ones, after the other one is destroyed, then you can wish back the dragon, and then all the wishes reset.
Yeah, but they have the Namekian Dragon Balls as a last resort. They don't have them on hand.
Yeah. So there are rules in place, and yeah, it is a wish machine. Yes. It is a big giant genie, but it still has its own limitations.
Yeah, originally up until like halfway through the Cell Saga, you could not wish someone back that had already been wished back.
Okay.
Which is why the death of Krillin was as much of a big deal as it was, because he had already been wished back in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, but like, what about Goku? It could have been wished back. They were about to do that.
The first time Goku died was in the Saiyan Saga. That's how he was able to get wished back.
Yes, and they were about to wish him back, and then he refused because he just wanted to stay dead after the end of the Cell Saga.
And what's the problem with that specifically?
Yeah, because there's like a switcheroo, pretty much, that like they can just like kill the dragon, wish back the dragon, and then wishes reset.
They wished back Guru, who was the guardian connected to the dragon. But then, he died again. But then he died again because he's an old man.
Yeah, the thing is, it was a little bit complicated, at least, and normally you, even in this Dragon Ball world, at least the people are not hopping around planets to fuck over the Dragon Ball system.
Yeah,
that's the protagonists doing it.
You can't do resurrection too many times. Like, imagine if, and you could have done this easily in Lord of the Rings, if Gandalf came back a second time. And you'd be like, "You're now Gandalf the what? The black? Like, what do you like?"
Gandalf the black, yeah.
The maroon.
Yeah, he's Gandalf Santa Claus. I don't know. So he just keeps
Gandalf the bloom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's just constantly changing his robes. They would be like, "Oh, Gandalf, you are Gandalf, aren't you?" And then, "No, I'm Gandalf the Red." You're like, "What? Why?
Yeah.
How?"
On that note, in tabletop role-playing games, it is very difficult to actually resurrect a character. In the video game adaptations, it's relatively easy, of course. But if you play an actual campaign with the actual rules and everything, the amount of resources, ingredients, and people with the right power level to be able to even do that, to get all that together, and the remains that in most systems are necessary, that's difficult to pull off. So it's not impossible, but it is something that, especially in grounded and low-level adventures, doesn't happen. If you're dead, you're dead, because nobody gives a shit about you. Or at least not enough.
All right.
Don't worry, the good anime bit was just a bit of an exaggeration. After all, the first FMA series is trash garbage! There are a lot of anime tropes.
That's why you brought imagery from the first series? Because that depiction of the mother wasn't in the first, I'm pretty sure. It wasn't in the second. In the second, she was barely shown. I think she was just, that blob thing was just off screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think like they really mentioned it until like many episodes later.
That's fine. A lot of people like Brotherhood over the first. That's totally fair. It's fine. Whatever.
That's like the mainstream opinion anyway.
I personally prefer the first, but that's just me. I know the second one is closer to the manga, the art style as well. Again, whatever. It's the same story. Not a big deal.
No, it goes into a different direction.
It does have extra stuff. Yes.
Pretty completely.
I'm quite sure it's pretty much the same story.
No, the beginning is the same, which is why Brotherhood skips over the congruent beginning with the whole that whole desert town with with that priest guy.
Scar?
That was very elaborate in the first anime, and they just didn't want to repeat that in the second one, so they just reference those events.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Brotherhood doesn't have Hitler.
Oh, what?
That as well, yes.
It doesn't have.
That's no fun.
They go to the real world in that one.
I'm not sure you've seen Brotherhood at this point, Smud.
No, I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, this is pretty the same. I need to watch it.
Oh, you should. Oh, God, go watch it, for fuck's sake.
The second half is completely different from the first series,
All right,
basically.
So it's like Smud's like, Adolf's not in it? Bad.
Yeah, no, he's great. I love that.
Fritz Lang is also not in it.
Oh. Well, I mean, that's bad.
And no Zeppelins.
Oh, see, now I'm already not into it. I want war, damn it.
Oh, you get war. You get war.
All right. Here's Kyogres. How you doing, Kyogres? Super was the series that truly trivialized the Dragon Balls. GT, on the other hand, actually made legit consequences for overusing them. That's cool.
Yes, that
GT,
is like
not
a
Super.
ridiculous defense. At first, I thought it's ridiculous, but you know what? Like GD is actually better than Super, overall.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna stand by that.
What are the consequences? Is the Secretary of Hell at the entrance getting fed up with people constantly disappearing, and he's getting extra bureaucratic work all the time?
Earth gets destroyed if they wish more, basically. Shenron himself, with his 7 motherfuckers, comes out.
Long story short, you remember how Kami and Piccolo were split into 2 different beings because Kami wanted to get rid of his evil to become the Guardian of the Earth?
Yeah.
Well, before that split, the original Namekian that they were created a separate set of Dragon Balls, which are the Black Star Dragon Balls. If you wish on them, you have 1 year to go bring them back to where you used them, or the planet you used them on is destroyed. And then they scatter across the galaxy.
Why would you do that?
Well, hey, it's like... Well,
Why would you make that, and where are the rules written down?
With half of that Namekian was still Demon King Piccolo, remember?
Yeah, that's okay, but where were the rules written down for that thing, or was it just a trap to begin with?
We were all young.
Uh-huh.
Toriyama had nothing to do with it, but by the end, at least it had like an overarching story.
He only barely had any influence in GT, mainly in just refining the character designs.
Yes,
that's
that's probably like his shtick.
And then not only that, but the original Dragon Balls we've known since the beginning also become corrupted, thus leading to the Shadow Dragons.
Cool.
At least they're still in the same galaxy.
Oh, and Goku is a kid again.
What?
That was dumb.
That's the first, like the Pilaf and his crew comes back and they wish Goku to be a kid again.
So
Because they want to wish for they wants to wish for their youth back, but he accidentally wishes.
Yeah.
I wish you were a kid again so I could squash you.
The kid Goku just destroyed them. Like they don't even remember. Like dementia has been setting in to those guys.
Well, Kid Goku is at least on par. GT Kid Goku is at least on par with Buu Saga Majin Buu. So
Yeah,
Man,
easily.
they literally say it in the show.
Am I glad that I dropped out during the Boo saga?
that's a good place to drop out. Yeah.
It is excellent.
What I just heard is just sounds like really bad fan fiction.
Well, you're not even about to hear what Super has to offer to you.
All right. Let's keep going.
Well, yeah, furry fanfic or hair dye fanfic. Take your
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're good.
that's a good description.
description both. Yes,
Oh boy.
they're both at least better than Dragon Ball Evolution. Give me that one.
Well, that's kind of I mean, don't you have to.
If I want to watch a show about bad hairstyles, I'm gonna watch JoJo.
There you go. That's what you want.
Hairstyles. It's hair dye.
I'm
Same
gonna,
thing.
I'm gonna appreciate the poses.
Not really.
There's so much more to see than hair, of course, with JoJo, but that's okay. Anyway, let's keep going.
I could never see another tsundere character again and feel no sense of loss. I genuinely believe that the world would be a better place overall if another harem or reverse harem anime about a boring protagonist with no interesting or unique features never got made again. I'm pretty sure we'd obtain world peace in a matter of minutes if there were never another scene in which the male protagonist
you got old.
accidentally walks in on the female protagonist changing in the first
Oh my.
episode. But
You must have had a very boring life.
Yeah, can't have sexual encounters or tension between main characters in a romance story. That's horrible.
Is she sad that that never happened to her?
I
wouldn't read into it.
just
Seems like it.
Yeah, just because it's a pattern doesn't mean it's bad. It's like, yeah, I get it. If you don't like a certain genre, you're going to get bored of it. Like with fantasy, it happens a lot. But every time they do a romantic comedy, for whatever reason, people like it. It's like, different characters, different personalities, different scenarios. They crash into each other when turning a corner. Oh my God, why did that happen? That's fine. The scenarios are fine. The conflicts are all the same. It's how it's done.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can be bored by it because you've seen so much, because you're an old hag now who needs to start buying cats. But like that scene, I'm not sure if I should tell this, but it's kind of wholesome, kind of cute. My judo teacher, in my middle to late teens, together with his wife, set up that I was it his wife? Not sure. She was a brown belt, and set up that I was to give her the keys back, and mind fogged as I was and autistic and just do the thing that you're told. Well, I brought it to the changing room, and well, there stood the girl they wanted to hook me up with, because we were actually kind of, there was chemistry. But man, she was in the that was the most beautiful angel ever. Michelangelo would be jealous. He'd want to make that into a statue. Holy hell!
Ooh.
So, yeah, that happened. Those things happen in real life, and they're wonderful memories.
Yeah, and we have all kinds of great stories nowadays, modern ones, like Komi-san Can't Communicate, which is a very wholesome, adorable story of a girl with a speech problem who all she wants are friends. And the whole story is not about her. It's about all the friendships along the way and all the crazy interactions, all the crazy personalities, and how the artist draws them out. And it's the same stuff. They go to the beach. They go to the spa. They have a study session together. It's all stuff you've heard of before. But because it's drawn in a certain way, and Komi-san has those gigantic eyes, and she has
and the cat ears.
Yeah, sometimes they draw. Yeah. It's so adorable that you're like, oh, this is like she's just a girl. She just wants to be friends. She just wants to be involved, and then she finds someone she loves, and she's trying to express herself, and it's absolutely perfect at times.
And she's also like very beautiful too. Like I don't know if that's like the way they see her, like other people see her, but like she's like very beautiful, and people are just immediately drawn to her.
Yeah, everyone's stunned by how gorgeous she is, and they want to protect her. And it's just this universal thing that we should. This is a thing that happens very rarely, and everyone should be very concerned what happens to this girl, even though they're not getting near her in that sense. And that's kind of part of why she's also so shy. It's this very interesting dynamic, but that's like at the beginning. Now it's like everyone's friend, so they don't mind that too much. But in public, it's like, oh my God, look at that. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with realizing there's a beautiful person out there that is worth not obsessing over, I guess, just protecting. Like, know that that's sacred, that's special. I don't know. It happens very rarely in our lives, and we should take care of that. Anyway, nothing wrong with a new romance story.
In a world with no anime, in which characters are brought back from the dead, either for no reason at all, or more likely, a reason that's just plain bullshit, then not only am I sure that we'd obtain world peace, but I'm pretty sure that death, famine, and disease would simply go away.
Wait. So, get rid of anime, but have the same scenarios and other stories, and therefore life would be amazing. What are you talking about?
I think she's
if we only got rid of anime.
Yeah,
anime is the problem.
Yeah, if we had only Western comic books to talk about resurrection, like we have, like Superman died the 17,000 times.
I was gonna say Marvel and DC. Hello.
Yeah, just eliminate anime. We'd have world peace. I'm like, what are you?
How many times did Optimus Prime die?
Oh,
depends. For every continuity, for most continuities, at least once.
Yeah, this is a very... She must really hate anime with this trope. I don't know why, though.
And bringing people back from the dead for no reason? I mean, people have at least a reason. There's at least one person who has the reason, I don't want you to be dead, I want you to be alive again.
Yeah, look at...
I miss you, or need you for something.
Look at Kratos from the end of third game. He's dead. He's gone. Totally dead.
No. Not even within itself, he died.
Oh yeah, he killed himself. He's on the ground. The game's over, and then he's back.
I think like the ending for the original was that like he got pierced through his chest or something like that, or like stomach. And then the last scene that you see is that he's not there anymore.
Yeah, there's blood.
Yeah, he's died like multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying he didn't die in 3 though.
Well, he killed himself in 3.
He just ran away.
And then he ran away.
How did he run away?
Still didn't work.
We don't.
I even went along the street and not across it. It still didn't work. What the fuck?
Listen. It was a flesh wound. All right, it was a flesh wound.
A self-inflicted flesh wound.
This is generally the problem
He
when
nicked
you're
himself.
that god level.
Through the chest. Yeah.
Everything's a flesh
He
wound.
was
I need to grow a beard now.
He was going to use the sword of Olympus to pick his teeth, and he just went whoosh. Oh, that's that happens.
Is that,
he already died
why
at
he
least
grew a beard
once
to hide the scar on his face?
Oh yeah.
and Kratos already died at least once in God of War 1.
Yeah.
When he was impaled by Ares throwing a pillar at him across the continent.
He's died
as he was just leaving the temple with Pandora's box.
Yeah, he supposedly committed suicide by throwing himself into the water, and then the gods just pick him up out of the water, and he's just back to
that's another one. So that could be the second, technically, because the impact on the water surface should have already killed him there.
Yeah. And the gods went, nope.
But like the impairment, that was one of the badass moments, the absolutely really cool, over the top, but still kind of grounded because god shit moments where Kratos gets impaled by the pillar that Ares was throwing.
Right, you're talking about gods.
That precision on a moving target.
Well, he's a god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pew! I don't like what you Kratos. Pew!
Anytime supernatural beings do crazy stuff and get impaled and split in two, it's like, just Thursday. It's not a big deal.
And that's the... And I know that we don't have that discussion right now, but that is one of those many things that the Norse games didn't have.
The Kratos has only ever really died in God of War 1 and 2. The only times.
Okay. Anyway, so it does happen a lot in Western media. I don't think that would make writing in general better without anime and manga. I think the influence of anime and manga is awesome the way it is. I'm assuming she's being hyperbolic, but you never know.
Don't forget, we also, in general mythology, we have people coming back from the dead or being saved from hell or variants thereof.
Yep. Yeah, sure.
That's a thing.
Totally be gone. Our favorite anime characters would die so that we may live longer, happier, and healthier. Whole new meaning to the phrase, my waifu is my laifu. So yeah, in case I didn't spell it out clearly enough, let me say it clearly. I fucking hate it when an anime resurrects a character for no good reason.
I don't think you understand human emotions.
Can we get an example she's referring to? Because I want to know.
Yeah, she's about to go into it.
Yeah.
I
don't think she understands she has a volume knob.
Yeah.
She puts that on us.
I have a minimum. I'm still like having this ear piercing sound.
Yeah.
I'm at like medium on my dial here.
Medium's too high, buddy. You gotta turn that down.
Yeah, I gotta turn it down a little bit.
Gotta crack it up to 11.
But why do I hate this trope so much? Imagine, if you will, a good anime, maybe even a great anime, just an anime that you like. You're watching it for the first time, having a jolly old time, and then suddenly, character dies. You're sad, but...
Okay, so let's take Cowboy Bebop. Didn't Spike technically die?
Well, it's ambiguous. It's left ambiguous on purpose.
He got injured. He nearly got killed several times, but he starts off saying his life was sort of removed and he got resurrected by all that wonderful technology. And he's got one eye that is slightly off color. And he says he lost his life, like metaphorically, I guess.
Yeah, like one eye sees the past, the other one sees the present.
Right. So he says his life was dead or gone, and it's a different life he's living now, and he wants to see whether or not he's still alive. So that's more of a romantic way of looking at it. But the concept of resurrection or changing yourself is kind of what the hero's journey is all about. You're kind of changing yourself, which is you're casting away your old self to become something new, and it's a very painful experience. So... maybe not literally. For me, it's my personal example of Cowboy Bebop, but maybe there's an example you guys have that's your favorite.
I think like my example would be Gurren Lagann, because like one of the main characters, like Kamina, dies in like episode 8 or 9.
Right.
And then the other main character, Simon, has to overcome this. Shimon, I don't know. He actually gets stronger from that experience.
I thought
like, at first he gets depressed, but then he realizes that he needs to get over this feeling.
I thought you were going to say Monster with Johan getting shot. And
well, technically, does he actually die? Because I think there's the sequel, the book version, where Johan is still alive.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if I can consider that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Genma, he would have died. But yeah, technically he was in a coma with a bullet in his head. So yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, but by the end, like there's like the empty room. Like he escapes from the hospital.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, everyone has their own favorite. I don't recall all of them having resurrection per se, but maybe she's got a point here. We'll find out.
Series, and then a while later they're brought back to life through the power of friendship, or maybe they didn't really die and for some stupid reason just actively chose not to tell anybody until it was convenient for the plot. Something bullshitty. You're kind of pissed off now.
Like
this
Robo
character
Dawn
fucking died. You've already counted them out. You already cried your heart out for them, and then they just come waltzing back in like it's no big deal, just a typical day in the undead neighborhood. It's cheap. It's a cheap cop-out by writers to get that sitcom-y, everything worked out in the end and nothing has changed, thank God we don't have to change any of the promotional images effect. And you know what I'll watch if I want to watch something with that kind of an effect? A sitcom! Let's take a very famous anime death as an example. I'm pretty sure that this one is so well known that I don't need to call it a spoiler.
Examples
of
bad reasons.
Death Note is another one of those wonderful series where the dead always stay dead. Could you imagine how pissed off you'd be if he just came strolling back in a few episodes later saying that the task force's tears brought him back to life? Or that maybe he was just only pretending to be dead to get a couple days off from the Kira case. I know in the live action movies light doesn't kill him, but that's just a whole other can of worms. Besides, he's only playing dead for a matter of minutes in the movies, not entire episodes. Bringing a character back to life needlessly not only hurts the integrity of the writing, but severely hurts any emotional gravity that it had. Like, it's really hard for me to be sad.
That very much depends on the story and the characters, and they need to get that back. The thing is, where the attention is lost is on rewatching the show. That's where you have, because you don't have that impact of the initial death anymore, because you know that character is going to come back.
Yep.
But all the characters in the show still have those same strong emotions because they don't know at that point.
She's making the argument, if Death Note did this, it would be bad. It's like, okay, but it didn't. So give me an example of a story that did have this problem.
Well, like the One Piece was probably like the episode, but like she didn't like say any specific of like what character that was or anything like that. But I think like One Piece is like so huge that I'm not even gonna try to like try to explain like which character that was.
Yeah,
not like I know.
I get that, you know, a narrative that is solid doesn't need all these stupid things like, well, we got to bring the character back, or, oh, it was all a dream, or, oh, we paint ourselves into a corner, what do we do? Let's rewind time. Like, there's no need to make stupid shit or concessions to the narrative to allow a door to open. Like, it's not, that's just bad writing. That's just bad writing in general. So one aspect of bad writing could be resurrection, you're right. But
I think like Madoka Magica is like actually like handling it well, because like each and every time it had a consequence if like the character like did time travel to like save that character from death. Like I think like the mechanic there was that like each and every time Madoka was the one that was meant to be saved, but like she got like more stronger each time, and she was the one that would turn into a monster, because like every I don't even know, magical girl that dies turns into a witch.
Right.
And the witch is gonna be the end of the world.
Yeah, plus there's stories that use not resurrection, but gameplay mechanics. So like ReZero, the guy keeps dying.
Yes.
And gets reset. That's part of the narrative. I'm not angry that's the case, because it makes sense. And that's the only problem that I see with this, or any trope, is does the trope make sense for what it's being used for? And it's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Now, in some cases, let's say Planescape Torment does that as a mechanic because that's the joke, or that's the thing that, oh yeah, you never die, but you always get sent back to the exact same spot, and it's like, oh.
Well, in a way that's where the where the similarity to ReZero is, because the reset point changes over time as the story, as it should happen, progresses. Yes. But just like the Nameless One, the character in ReZero remembers all of the shit that happened before. He remembers all of his deaths, which can also be seen as metaphors of him overcoming weaker versions of himself.
Oh, that's fine, but that's like a time thing. Like he literally goes back in time to where he was at that point. Whereas the Nameless One is dragged by what are those guys called? The guys in gray robes.
The Morticians?
Yeah, they just pretty much the Sands. What are they? I can't remember the name. They just drag his body back to the crypt, and you're like, oh, weren't your friends like lying around? Like, how did that work? So it's kind of strange how they just keep going back all the way to the original location. So mechanic is fine, the storytelling is fine, the premise is fine. It's just the actual how, the details that sort of like that doesn't quite make as much sense as it should. But fair enough.
character days where they've already brought someone back to life for no good reason. Because there's a chance that they might be brought back to life too, so why waste time being sad? You lose that sense of trust. And when you lose that trust, you lose a lot of the emotional investment in that show. It's like being kicked in the shins by a show you've done nothing but love. And this...
Does she mean the trust to the audience?
No, I think she just in that the story is
lying?
As harsh as it is, but what she forgets is that, or what she glosses over is that these methods of resurrection are usually quite difficult and rare, and they will not be bestowed upon everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, once you know that resurrection is possible and has been established, you can think that, oh, maybe that character I like can be brought back, but most aren't.
Yeah, and plus, like, you know, if they did it once, it's like, well, I could kind of forgive it. But if you do it like multiple times, it's like, okay, you know, it's like it's getting annoying now. There's no real. You get tired of it.
Like bringing back Dio again in JoJo, like, oh god.
And what you usually do is that you bring back villains in some, well, not directly, but in some reincarnated or distorted form.
Yeah, like with JoJo, that's a perfect example with Stroheim. Like he dies in one episode,
yes,
and then he has superior German science, which is the world's finest. So it's it just makes perfect sense. So that is like, okay, there's sufficient time, there's sufficient lore, and the thing to make sense is, you know, what was going on during all this. Well, he was probably being rebuilt, and he's so enthusiastic about life, he just can't die. So some of that is okay. And with JoJo, because the nature of JoJo is so goofy, not as goofy as other anime for sure, but it's so elastic, the reality of JoJo, that you know it's not just serious, it's actually goofy and fun and over the top. And Excel Saga is like that example, just all over the top, so you can't take it seriously anyway.
In Excel Saga, deaths don't count anyway, because you have the great will of the Grand Universe as an actual character that
hands and
resurrects people because the plot needs it, and then continuously
like Pedro.
fucks Pedro. Poor Pedro.
Yeah.
Poor Pedro.
No.
But I was thinking something that is a bit similar and plays into this. And what actually plays around with this is Hellsing Ultimate, where Alucard repeatedly gets shot down, torn to pieces, to the very brink of he can't possibly come back from that, and then still does, and it builds this anticipation of how far does it even go? Because in part he lets the enemies shoot him up just to see how powerful they are, and then there's barely anything left of him. And then he thinks, that was pathetic, and gets this and does this retaliation.
Yeah, which reminds me
over the top
exactly of Deadpool when he came back from a puddle on the ground. So, but that's a farce. That's a joke comic. Whereas, I think,
well, in Hellsing, it's
partially a joke.
It's not directly a joke. It's just part of the tension building. But in any other thing, you would only use that as a joke.
Yeah,
in Hellsing, it's played straight.
Yeah.
But with
you mentioned Hellsing Ultimate.
You do feel happy, yes, Hellsing Ultimate. But you do feel happy seeing that, so you do feel joy. But that is from the exhilaration of, oh, this is badass, not from, oh, my beloved character is back. Because at some point, you know, Alucard is going to come back from that.
Yeah, and it's not just
you
Alucard.
just want to see how.
I was going to say, it wasn't just Alucard, but like Schrodinger is constantly dying. So
fuck that boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Hellsing Ultimate because like it's basically like Alucard gets poisoned by Fanboy, so that's how he gets cancer, and then he needs to like revive like Jesus for 20 years or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's an interesting ending in how the Führer wants his master plan to work. It's like, oh, that's what you wanted. Okay, I guess that's cool. Anyway.
Bullshit is how they repay you. And for every time another character comes back from the dead, you're kicked in the shins again. Eventually, you'll not only get used to it, but you're probably gonna come to expect it. And unless your hobby is getting kicked in the shins, you're not gonna have fun. In fact, you're probably gonna wonder why you love this anime so much in the first place. You lose your emotional attachment to it. And causing emotional attachment is one of the hallmarks of great writing. Like, when was the last time you were sad about a death in Dragon Ball? Probably the first death you saw, maybe a miscellaneous one here or there, but only because you didn't realize that they were going to be back in the next arc, most likely. After a while, you probably stopped being sad altogether, because it becomes predictable.
Oh, I don't know. How about Gamma 2 and Superhero? At least right now they haven't brought him back. And even if they conceive that idea, they can't bring back a full android.
Yeah, that's the thing with the androids is once they got consumed, you're like, oh, are they like
17 and 18 are mostly human. They just have cybernetics put into them.
I know.
16 couldn't be that bad because he's a full robot.
Yeah.
They're misnamed. They're cyborgs, not androids.
But you know what I mean, though. That's the point.
Yeah, when you see them,
Yeah, but that's the anime's fault.
well, the anime.
I know that.
The anime shows them get consumed, and you're like, oh, they're like digested. They're gone. And then they get spit out. Like, where were they? Full body and everything. Like, what happened there? So,
17 still died while inside of Cell.
Yeah. 18 was like, okay.
Toriyama magic.
Yeah, it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but I was just like you thought they were gone, and then it wasn't magic wish powers. It was technology or whatever. You're like, okay. So, yeah, no.
But they could still be brought back with the Dragon Balls.
Well,
unlike
16. Still very odd art choice there to have a character that's shaped like Cell and consuming an adult female with his tail, and then looks like she's consumed, and then she comes back. And you're like, oh, all right, whatever. Okay.
Some of you may argue that there are times when the writing calls for it, and that by doing this, they're actually boosting the emotional gravity the show has. You get a taste of what the series is like without a given character, and it doesn't taste very good. In fact, it probably tastes salty, like your tears. So when you see him back in action, you're struck with that wave of relief and happiness. You don't know what you got till it's gone, and now that you know what it's like with that character gone, you're not gonna take them for granted anymore. And yeah, totally. I absolutely agree. That does happen sometimes. Sometimes. Keyword,
Oh yeah, Avdor, like in part 3, that is like a famous one. Like the fans were like so outraged that like Avdor was killed off in the beginning of part 3 that they begged the author to like bring him back. So he did that for a few more episodes.
Oh dear. That's JoJo. JoJo's a bit, as I said, elastic. The rules of JoJo are...
It is. It's very free of thinking, I would say.
Yeah.
Getting shot in the head wasn't really a death of Avdor.
To JoJo, that's like, bullets, whatever.
Bullets. They don't hurt anyone.
You gotta be punched in the face with a magical personification of your psyche. That's how that death.
Yes. That's gonna rip you in half.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's pretty rare. I offer you the rebuttal that for every one series that does this right, there's another 20 that don't. And I know that up until now I've been using
Can you
Dragon
please
Ball
list
Naruto
names?
as examples, but only because they're probably the biggest users of this trope, at least as far as anime is concerned. To name some of the other anime in which the dead have magically come back to life, anime that I can no longer trust when I see someone die, are Rosen Maiden, Inuyasha, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Macross 7, Danganronpa, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Bleach, and dare I mention another one of the biggest addicts, nay, offenders of this trope, dare I mention Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny, which has used this trope so much that the main character has been nicknamed by the fans Jesus Yamato. I can name more if you want, but then
Well, he's pretty much this amazing genius who can naturally just adapt to any scenario.
Isn't C like the bad one?
It's I'm not a fan of it, but some people love it. So it's really how you interpret Gundams. It's pretty much your standard Gundam. You got this new type dude who's unknown and he adapts, and suddenly he's like the guy who's charging the war. And all these women try to take advantage of him, and he has all these powers that connect to the new Gundam, and he can reprogram them on the fly. No one else can do that. And then there's the standard other villains coming in. So I never really got into it.
Can someone remind me who died in Sailor Moon? Because I don't remember.
Was it Chibi USA? Or was it her future self? I can't remember.
And got resurrected?
I think so, but that's because we're talking about, at this point, there's gods, and she has like all this power anyway, the power of love and family and whatever.
I don't remember anyone.
No, this is Galaxy. This is all this.
I watched all of Sailor Moon because there was nothing else on TV. Yes.
Even the movies?
No, just the series.
Okay, well,
that was one of the few things that ran on TV back then.
So Super S
and
with the three not transvestites, but they were the three transforming.
That's just the latest season. It's just the final season.
Yeah.
That wasn't. I think that wasn't renamed in Germany to Super S. It was just continuously just Sailor Moon.
Okay.
It just got new title songs every season.
At least you got a better show out of that era, because over here it was Captain Planet.
That was a cartoon.
Yes.
We also had that propagandist bullshit, and it also set some bullshit ideas in my mind. That was very mean.
Yeah. All right.
Bad cartoon. Don't show that to your kids. It's a bad cartoon.
Here's Kyrgyz one more time. Hey, Kyrgyz. In Naruto, they get brought back temporarily as zombie slaves, so not sure you can count it. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought, because they come back as...
Yeah, they transform into like some different kind of character. Yeah.
They teleport their body and then use necromancy to make them slaves, for like 10 minutes or whatever it is. So, wouldn't call that resurrection. Anyway. Yeah, I think the entire concept of isekai starts with the resurrection. Like, that's the whole premise. You die and come back to life in a new world.
Oh.
Yeah, with Dracula.
The chat is saying that the whole cast of Sailor Moon died at the end of the first season, or first arc.
What?
And then Sailor Moon brought them all back. I don't remember that. Maybe that was censored in Germany?
I don't...
What?
There's like a 9/11 in Sailor Moon? Really?
I was going to say, what? Was it all a dream?
I don't remember that.
I have no idea. But several people are saying
now we're
it,
playing Mario 2 logic.
Oh.
That's interesting. So just to remind everyone, German censorship is extreme on the violence. So it's likely that these episodes didn't even show on German TV. To give an example, the Naruto was there's no blood in German Naruto, and nobody died, including Naruto's parents. They're not dead. They're just always referred to as that they're gone. They're away.
Naruto, I'll be okay. Naruto, I'm on my way.
So technically, you think that his story would be that he's trying to find his parents because they're just gone.
He just lives by himself for no reason.
Yeah, like it's just so fucking stupid. And Naruto is so cut up that the German version doesn't even make sense. It is a complete surprise to me that it could catch an audience here, because blood doesn't make any bloody sense. Maybe it's just because of the animation and how some characters look.
No,
I think it's the gangbanger opening that the Germans did for Naruto.
Maybe
that scared away the people. It's just it's a spectacle.
But look, I completely understand all the parents who've tried to watch German Naruto with their kids and think, this is complete garbage. It doesn't make any fucking sense, because it doesn't. There's nothing left to make sense with. Dragon Ball you can't butcher on that level because there is not that much story going on. Naruto actually pretends to have some story going on before it goes into filler. The thing with Dragon Ball, it's also heavily censored in German, to the point where your American version is already censored and cut up. There are scenes missing, and the German version is the American version cut up further. So we have about 10 minutes of actual content per episode, then 2 commercial breaks, the intro, as well as the recap of the last episode and the preview to the next episode. It is unwatchable. And they made it like that because there is nothing left in per episode to actually watch, because they cut out so much violence.
And that's one of 2 reasons to watch the original Japanese version.
Yeah.
To watch it uncensored and to get details right.
They did a lot of
although
things.
I will say the voice actors for Dragon Ball, they were really good for Dragon Ball Z. They were really good. The problem is just that the censorship is so extreme that there's nothing left of the show.
You know what? I'll at least say better to have no blood than to have the blood get recolored to white like China does.
Oh,
China,
yeah.
Yeah, well, I remember in Sailor Moon they cut out the blood as magical sweat, and the aliens, I don't know, did they have green blood, or was that changed to green? I'm assuming it's blood anyway, because it was like I don't know if you guys remember the Neophyte. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Nephlite, when he died.
Now, the only censorship I'll give Dragon Ball credit for, just for the sake of like adding something to it, if that's possible anywhere else, is that they changed Namekian blood to purple.
Oh.
Yes.
I'll give them
they
that. I'll give them that one, the only one.
did. And I think in the Ocean dub, like the Canadian dub, that was first on Toonami for Dragon Ball Z. They didn't say that like I'm gonna kill you. No, they said like I'm gonna send you to the next dimension. That was their way to tell you that, like, okay, you're gonna die.
I mean, that I'll forgive a little bit because Spider-Man in the 90s did the same, but they always said destroy.
I mean, like, to be fair, like Dragon Ball Z does get you to the next dimension.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball, it's literal, so they're not wrong either.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, with
At
the
least-
shows she's mentioning here.
At least with that censorship, they literally tell you where you're going.
Yeah. How nice of you, Canadians.
Thank you for the destination. That's great.
Especially with Tokyo Ghoul. That is about undead. How...
Yeah, like she listed the animes, but she didn't explain this, like the actual conditions. And I'm sure if she does, it'd be like, oh, we should probably go check out the scene because she doesn't have enough time on her one video to see why it doesn't work.
For example, I haven't seen Black Butler or the one on the left.
Oh, what is that?
So I can't say anything about what happens in there with their resurrections, if they even have any.
Woman with chains and water.
There's no giant spiked ball at the end, so it's irrelevant.
The only anime I've ever seen to completion is anything Dragon Ball related. Anything else is just clips.
Go watch
I feel
Brotherhood.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing out.
All right.
Minutes. And although this video is centered around talking about this trope used in anime, it's
Make 'em.
definitely not exclusive to anime. I just think it happens more often in anime.
Oh, no.
To name some instances of this happening in Western entertainment are pretty much any slasher film. Once upon
The bloody thing in... But people in slasher films get revived?
Yes.
Michael
Like,
Myers.
haven't you seen a single Jason movie?
They don't even explain it.
Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers.
Yeah, but that's
They
the
just come
villains.
back. Yeah, they
Yeah, but
just come back.
that's
They don't
the bad
explain it.
guys. That's the movie monster. The movie monster does come back, of course. Especially if it's a nightmare born from people's fears or something.
That's why she's wrong on that one, because that's the point.
Yeah, when the resurrection trope is can only get really annoying when it's about the protagonists and Palpatine.
Somehow.
But let's ignore that one.
Yeah, because like the Palpatine thing, you would have had to play as somehow Palpatine managed to become an evil Force ghost, which should not be possible. That would be the only thing you could have played. But they didn't do that. That's where it's stupid. But what was I complaining about before? This Once Upon a Time thing, because she just randomly bombards me with stuff that makes no sense.
You were talking about the slasher
No. Before that, she had a scene from Brotherhood again.
Oh.
Resurrection in Full Alchemist Brotherhood is the culmination, the final moment. There is no resurrection ever before the end. And even that is questionable whether it's a resurrection or something else that you can interpret as that if you want to. But why is she bringing up Brotherhood? Brotherhood is not even doing what she's talking about.
She's bringing it up as a good example.
Yeah,
I think she said it at the beginning of the video that Fullmetal Alchemist is doing it right.
Right, because there's so many. They actually play with that trope because there's the sewing life alchemist. There's all the watches that all the alchemists have. There's the homunculi. There's I can't remember which one can transform his body and keep it looks like they die, but they just sort of grow it back or what have you. So there's all kinds of alchemy powers that everyone has that sort of subvert the concept of death. So they don't actually die, they just sort of suspend their life in a certain state. And then you have the magical door and the world surrounding that and how that came to be.
Where the magic comes from, more or less.
Yeah, and that's...
because everybody seems to have his superhero power, but that's just a specialization in alchemy. Right. Because the basics everyone can do.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
And that I think is a very important distinction to what, for example, Western comics do with their superpower things. Because you have this baseline, and then everybody has the advanced stuff that they specialize in. This is a very nice...
It manifests in different ways, but there's more often not, you get the teleporter guys, you get the flame guys, you get the flying people. There's all these flavors of the X Factor. So
yeah, and in Brotherhood, also in contrast to, for example, My Hero Academia, everybody can do the basics of repairing radios with alchemy.
Yeah, it's
or fixing a door, just these basic things. Everybody can do that.
Yeah, it's magic with science, and then the science is where you specialize your focus. So same with Mass Effect. The whole universe is explained by the Mass Effect. Everything, ships, guns, the relays. It's all that all makes sense. So you need that sort of world building base to explain the nature of reality. So that's okay, we have magicians and wizards and scientists that do this. And then you have that wonderful detailed world that you need. Like Sanderson explains, you need those rules in place so that it's limited. You're not just gods flinging stars in the air. You're being able to jump 20 feet and that's it. You can't go any higher. There are rules why. So that's fine.
And now showing Once Upon a Time. My bet is that she's bringing up if this is the TV show, she's going to bring it up as definitely a negative example. But this is all the fucking fairy tales. This is part of the whole shebang.
Yeah, this is us.
There are some permadevs in that as well.
Yeah, but this is no different than watching or reading a Neil Gaiman story. It's just all the fantasy stuff all together at once.
Yeah, it's just way, way worse.
Oh, for sure.
It's interesting, I'd say, in the first season. And after that, you have some... I dropped out at some point where it's just every episode, the same fucking line comes up. And that I think for 2 seasons even. You know the stupid line that the communists put everywhere? This, be better, be better, be better. We must be better. I must be better. You must be better every time. That show used that for the orphan kid that gets back with the mother as, I just wanted you to have your best shot. And then all this I wanted you to have your best shot. You hear it every fucking episode, and it just turns into a show where the mother character just has different designer clothes on every episode. So from that you can tell, and it turns into a complete soap opera that just is on repeat. And from that can tell who the target audience is by that point.
Yeah, that's what it amalgamates to when you talk about these groups of mythologies. Like what's that, the Wolf Among Us story? It's basically not a murder mystery, but like a noir adventure. And I think Bigby plays the detective, and then they made that into a game, and everyone likes it now. So it's the same concept of what do you do with all this supernatural stuff, and you can't.
Yeah, but
go
as long
too
as
much.
it's about solving, getting to know the weird shit that's going on, uncovering it, and then world building and dealing with all of that, it's interesting. The moment it then goes on to infinite repeat because, oh, people are still watching, we need to make another season, but we don't know any story to tell anymore. Let's go into repeat soap opera crap that makes no sense and leads nowhere. And that is where it just gets bloody bad. This is the show where, forgot the name of the character. You liked Stargate Universe, right?
Yes.
You remember the science captain guy who was unbearable?
Well, he was.
Oh, Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rush, exactly. This is the show where I would say he had his great debut where from which he got into other shows. Because here he plays Rumpelstilzchen, and he plays that wonderfully. I got hooked on the show because of his performance as Rumpelstilzchen.
Oh, that's right. He's in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. But every character he plays in any show or movie afterwards is just Rumpelstilzchen from this show.
Okay.
When he plays Rush in Stargate Universe, that's basically the same character as here. He's just typecast. That's the right word. It's the same. It's the fucking same. Same behavior, same emotional expressions, same mannerisms, same slightly disheveled look. It's just Rumpelstilzchen all the fucking time. He's not playing anyone different. And I'm pretty sure that since he could act so well, and in the show he basically plays two characters, the actual Rumpelstilzchen and the mask of Rumpelstilzchen, as well as later on before he becomes that in a flashback. So this actor has a very wide range. But all these other projects, they just cast him as what he played as Rumpelstilzchen, which is just sad, because I really like that guy acting.
Well, they all have a certain double-sidedness to them, or Machiavellian element to them, where he has his own interests, and he sort of argues that, no, I'm really doing this for everyone, when his main motivation is just knowledge or power or what have you. So that is...
For Rumpelstilzchen in the beginning, it was the same thing. It was just about him trying to save what family he had.
Right. There's some like personal selfish reason. It's not inherently evil, but what he does to get there is evil at times.
No, it was initially it was altruistic. He took up evil powers in order to save his kid, I believe. This is a long time ago I saw this.
Yeah.
But, well, that led down to a path of further corruption.
All right.
I think most people remember him from Trainspotting, but yeah, that's true.
That's the one I haven't seen.
Oh, really?
But Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, that movie.
I would love to talk about this show at some point in detail, because it does some things right and some things so very wrong.
Small talk.
And what put me really off is that the town it's shot in, the set piece town, is the same that was later used in a Shyamalan series, which the Wayward Pines used the same bloody town with the same clock tower, the same stupid carousel at the side of some road. It's the same bloody thing. And I watched that not that shortly after this one, and I was completely confused because how can this play in the same town?
Well,
and then,
he does play Hitler in was it 2003 or 2001? Hitler: The Rise of Evil. So
Shyamalan played Hitler?
Carlisle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Never would have guessed.
Yeah, I
was gonna say regarding The Wolf Among Us, they do tackle the whole death thing in that series. Like if with regards like how popular the character is in like folklore. Like if you're very, very popular in folklore, you're extremely hard to kill.
Right. Mm-hmm. This is.
I mean, even Snow White. I was reading this online. The character Snow White in Wolf Among Us and in the comics, I think it was in the comics, yeah. She gets shot in the head and she's like down and out for about a month or so, and then she's like walking around with like crutches and then like a cane after that. But she eventually got better. So, but that was only because her character was like extremely popular.
Yeah, that's how these stories, even with Gaiman, that talk about the gods, why the gods are so powerful. It's not because there's anything magical about them. It's because the people believe there's something magical about them, and that's why they exist. And you see that in American Gods is a lot. You see that in The Sandman. It's the power of belief, or S.A.S. percepi, meaning to be is to be perceived, from Bishop Berkeley. And this is a old concept from Harlan Ellison. He talks about that, and where he has a anthology of books from other authors, and they have stories about gods, and it's all about the power of belief and why such things exist.
It works the same in Discworld, by the Discworld by Terry Pratchett, and even the Elder Scrolls.
Really?
Same thing.
Oh,
yeah. The whole Daedra thing is basically that, and because the material world is just this tiny pocket. Outside of that, it's just all this weird stuff that is bad comparison, like the warp shit in 40K. Which is also running along this concept of the more you believe in it, or the stronger your emotions are, the more it affects that, and can even create these beings in some form or another. But in Wolf Among Us, it's just applied a bit differently to these mythological figures that they just can't die, which they probably couldn't in other things as well.
Alrighty,
I like that.
On a time, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Game of Thrones, and without a doubt, the worst abuser of this trope of all time, Supernatural.
Since when do we give Doctor Who any complaints about the tropes it uses? The whole thing is bad tropes thrown together, and it's what I call high quality trash.
Also, no one's worse than Marvel and DC with this. Come on.
Yeah,
in the comics anyway.
Yeah, comic books in general, they use a trope more than any. But Supernatural is just sort of like, it's a goofy show. You don't take it seriously. So.
Yeah, hell, I still remember that Robot Chicken sketch where they made fun of it, the Marvel and DC thing, where it's like Batman's like giving a eulogy at Green Lantern's funeral, just saying like, he'll be fine, he'll be back.
Yeah, as a power crazed supervillain.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I give Buffy that actually had a good drawback on the whole resurrection thing.
Well, yeah, when you
shouldn't do it, it's shit, and for several, it's shining through. But for several episodes, Buffy does not reveal that being dead was actually preferable, and you assholes brought me back, but I can't tell you that because then you'll feel bad.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. There were like she was like depressed. Like she got brought back.
Yeah, because back in life there's all this pain and everything, and when she was dead, she was finally free of all that.
Well, any stories that have the literal personification of death, like Supernatural or Sandman, it's like, okay, now we're playing around with this idea of the afterlife. People have power over this state of being. So to have the main characters die or the characters die and come back, it's like, okay, whatever. As long as it makes sense within the context of who can do it and how, that's fine. If it's like stupid and it's just like, oh, this spell went wrong, but it didn't partially affect me, only somewhat affected me, like, sure. But some episodes are like, no, I'm going to have Death's powers. He gave me his ring. I'm going to play an angel of death for an episode. And you see what they do. Pretty much what would happen in a Gaiman story. But that's fine. That's fine. You can play around with those ideas. And it's this crazy concept of, I'm very old, Dean. I am so old. You cannot fathom how old I am.
I like that. I like that one little story in Sandman, the comic, not the butchered series, where Death made a deal with one guy in a bar that they'll just meet every few years. So Death doesn't take him, and they'll just meet every few years if he still finds some reason to live.
Yeah.
And if he does, death doesn't take him. And it keeps on going for like 500 years or so.
Wow.
What was his name? Hobb? Something Hobb. But I know they meet every 100 years or so, or every 50 years. I can't remember what the time period is. And every time they meet, he's like, oh, he's a rich man. Then he lost everything, and then he took part in a war, and then he's like a bum. Like it's constantly changing. But every time he's like, of course, I have all kinds of things to live for. So it's kind of interesting because he ends up buying and selling slaves, and then he regrets what he's done, and then he changes his ways, and then he gets into money. I don't know what they did in the show exactly, but that was the concept.
Yeah, that was a nice philosophical exploration of this very thing. That is one thing that made the comic so great, and not what skin color anyone is. Gaiman, what the fuck happened to you? But I will applaud her for bringing up, for not just talking about anime and neglecting when the West does this, but actually complaining about it. Okay. Then at least there's more consistency. That's more than we see from other creators.
I would not attack Supernatural just because it's so crazy. Like it's just this big block of everything, and you're like, whatever, don't take it seriously.
Yeah. I mean, you can overuse Resurrection. You have to do it in the proper context and at the right point, because it's such a powerful thing.
Well, it's the same with let's say, I don't know, Buffy or Angel. Those shows. There's so many times where they could just instantly die, and it's so quick. Should, yeah. It's like this should have happened like years and like hundreds of years ago, but nope. They've been around for this long, getting into these scenarios where they could die instantly, and you're like, okay, yeah.
I mean, that's generally the plot armor problem, which sometimes when you want to do this over the top supernatural stuff and you don't have the budget for it. Things get silly. There was I don't remember which season it was, but in the beginning they suddenly had really good fight choreography, like actual stuntmen that did martial arts, and the vampire did martial arts, like actual fighting. And I thought, oh, the show is finally improving. They have a budget now and do shit. War. And then like 3 episodes later, that was gone. And they were back to this goofy, bad background, punch, fall to the side bullshit. That's just pathetic. And it was just for a few episodes. It was improving and was gone. And it's like, how can you praise this stuff? Come on.
That's Angel in a nutshell, because they have really good episodes, and then it's good choreography, good music, good plot, and then it goes back to stupid romantic nonsense crap and then slapstick comedy. Like, why did you do this, Josh?
Yeah, but not just that. I mean, the fighting quality goes down again.
Oh, it's random. Like it's as if like Josh just had a bender. And he wakes up, okay, I gotta make a episode this week. And then he does it, and you're like, ugh. And then 2 months later, it's actually a decent episode with ballerinas and this whole romantic concept of being trapped in this eternal show, and she can never leave. And Angel notices this because he's a vampire, and oh my god, like that was special. Like they did something.
There were some really good stories and really good episodes, really good shows there, but the majority was just garbage, and there's no consistent world building.
It's the same with Supernatural. Only Supernatural is mostly hokey and goofy, and then you have like this one really cool, like meeting death in the bar, and multiple times meeting. Like that's like, why are we always like having like junk food? It's like, why are you always eating junk food? I'm death. I don't care. Anyway.
Fun fact, Supernatural did also have an anime, but that's another video for
Oh dear.
But just so we're on the same page here, little disclaimer. Just by using this trope, although you're definitely bringing down the quality of your writing,
it was the granddaughter that died?
It doesn't necessarily make the anime or show in general bad. More often than not, I end up disliking any anime that uses this trope, especially if it uses it as often as something like Naruto, Dragon Ball, or Gundam Seed, but there are a few exceptions. I mean, I still adore JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, adventure. Macross 7 is one of my favorite mecha anime of all time. And like most anime fans my age, I have a huge soft spot for Sailor Moon. It's just that.
It's like she only mentioned like 4 or 5 titles that like really did bad in her book, and I don't understand like this outrage, like because like she's from a perspective of her voice, it makes her sound like there are hundreds of these shows that really bothers her, that like she just can't escape this trope at all.
Yeah, she's missing.
It doesn't really seem like it.
She's missing the whole argument, which is it's how it's done. It doesn't matter if it has the element; it's how often and how. And if it's happening all the time, it's part of the plot. It's part of the story. It's part of the setting, technology, magic, whatever. It's like, okay, resurrection is part of this world. I've accepted it.
Yeah. From my experience, Hollywood is doing this way worse, especially lately with all the superhero stuff.
I can't pay attention to Hollywood. I just don't watch those shows. I just don't know.
Ugh.
Also, she showed Frieza earlier. That's irrelevant to this video.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, bringing a villain back is not that much of a problem.
Especially since in universe it had been at least a decade since he died. I think a decade and a half at that point.
But he came back as a cyborg, right?
He came back as a cyborg and then got killed and then came back normal.
No. When they wished him back after being killed by Trunks, he came back in pieces.
Oh.
And then they put him in a machine that restored him back to his first form. That's how it went down.
That glued him together?
Super shit.
Yeah, remember how exactly Trunks killed him at the start of the cell?
No, because that was after Boo.
That when he died as a cyborg?
Yeah, I think the cyborg was after Boo, wasn't it?
Cell was before Boo.
Cell? I thought you were talking about Frieza.
Yeah, when Frieza died on Namek, then after that, Frieza, as a cyborg, went to Earth to kill Goku, but that's when Trunks showed up.
Oh, that was just this like 1 or 2 episode thing.
Pieces.
Yeah.
He got destroyed, yeah.
Right, that was just this super short thing, that's why I don't remember it.
To show Trunks' power, and it's like he cut him up into like 20 pieces, and then when they wished him back in Resurrection F, he came back.
Prank on his part.
Like when they wished him back in Resurrection F, he came back in pieces. They put him in a machine that pretty much restore his cellular structure. It's like pretty much through his DNA restore him, and he came back after that in his first form.
Yeah, but this is like Frieza coming back is as a cyborg. That's the kind of stuff I meant with bringing back villains in an altered form that you thought were dead. That works.
Yeah, he got wished back as a cyborg, but when he was a cyborg, he died in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
so only his living tissue got resurrected.
Yep,
exactly. That was left then. That's how he fell apart. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
That's some crude humor.
That's how they were able to reconstruct him back into his force form. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
But yeah, that specific example, the resurrection works. They show you exactly how it works and why.
I think like the movie itself was called Resurrection F, isn't it?
Yeah, the movie, yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
In my opinion, my humble onion, they just would have all been exponentially better without using this trope because it's fucking cheap! But that doesn't necessarily mean that every anime resurrection is like this, though. Pretty much any anime dealing with time travel gets a pardon from me because they're usually going back in time before the death happens, like in Steins Gate, Higurashi, Madoka, and in fact, ReZero was pretty popular recently, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. The time travel activates after he dies, so naturally, it brings him back to-
Wait. Yeah, but then that's a whole other bag of worms. Like, what? Resurrection's okay when there's time travel. Like, wait. No, that's not.
By this video's logic, that's even worse because this specific case of time travel guarantees the resurrection. So...
This is like saying one bad trope is okay because there's a bigger.
If
trope.
we use a worse one,
well, to her it's better, so it's a okay trope. Therefore, the bad tropes are gone.
I mean, the way ReZero and Madoka use time travel, that's an okay use of it, but generally you need to stay away from that, like
because,
cyanide.
Like how Gingaman said, if it's explained, whatever the trope is, whatever the pattern is, why it's behaving the way it is, it's like, okay, as long as there's an explanation that makes some, it doesn't have to make perfect sense. It doesn't need to explain everything. It just needs to say, okay, how does this function? Oh, it's a magical god dragon that grants wishes. All right. And there's rules. Okay. That's enough.
And again, one last detail on the Frieza thing. They literally even have the flashback of Trunks cutting him into pieces after he's resurrected in pieces. For the context.
So the time travel is irrelevant because he remembers everything.
Yeah, and technically, the whole... why is it called Dragon Ball? Because of the Dragon Balls. The thing is, and that's what I liked about the first show, the initial one with Little Goku. It's about the adventure of finding the Dragon Balls. Because there's an adventure attached with each of them and the in-between between those.
Yeah.
Yes, that goes more into the background with Dragon Ball Z, but if you kept more emphasis on that, instead of just then zooming around the planet to just collect them all, because that's now more like a little chore instead of an adventure, that's where I think you take away from it.
Yeah,
because you take away the interesting little stories.
It's the same.
Yeah, but at least with at least in Dragon Ball Z, discounting everything that came after, at least in Dragon Ball Z, just because they have the Dragon Balls on hand if they go find all 7 doesn't mean they let themselves get reckless.
Well, this is the same issue with ReZero. The premise is you have a violent video game world where you die with memory retained. So how would that work in reality? Well, here's a story about that. And it's brutal. It's painful. It's pathetic sometimes. That his life just keeps not necessarily getting worse, but crazier the more he goes on, because he thinks he knows what's going to happen, and he changes a certain path in the story, and then suddenly this other crazy girl comes and kills him for whatever reason. So it's constant. Yeah, it's this constant struggle of what am I doing wrong? What lesson am I supposed to learn? Because there's some lessons he just doesn't get. He doesn't understand.
And he does, and it's from the most brutal deaths he gets into, which is the world freezing over several times,
and about his ego.
And
it's about his selfishness.
And the one and his reluctance to act. Yeah. That is what happens. That is in part what brought about the freezing ends, and the one where he's tortured by the sloth priest.
Right. So
and holy
that was
shit,
awesome. That was so fucking hilarious.
Yes. Well, you can, hilarious is one way to put it, but it is also one of the most excruciating, horrific things in the entire show.
I didn't like the show, so I was like, "Oh, finally, Subaru is getting tortured." Wonderful.
No quick death.
It's the one thing that finally, and he goes through that several times, and because even that he can't figure out immediately, and he thinks he has the answer, but then it fails again. But that is the one thing that finally makes him grow further. That is the fight. That is his. I think that was his lowest point. That was the actual bottom of hell for him. After that, he finally gets a grip, and things move around more, where he takes up his agency in a proper way.
Yeah, I think she's missing the point of these stories. I really do. Just because there's a pattern of people dying, coming back. She just, it's a pattern. Here's a pattern. She must have gone to, I'm sure there's several pages on TV Tropes that have various resurrection tropes. And she just found the anime section and just started listing them. Because I don't see how you can miss this pattern or miss the narrative if apparently she knows about Dragon Ball or ReZero. It's a bit like, oh yeah, no, these other stories have it. It must be bad. It's like, well, this one has time travel. It's okay. It's like it's not really about resurrection and Steins Gate.
Did Goblin Slayer die, or was he just massively injured?
Massively injured.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
to a time alive, and that makes sense. That is a good reason to resurrect a character. So it works. And even if we're forgetting about anime that deal with time travel, there are still some anime that have managed to present a good reason. Shiki, for instance, it's one of my favorite anime of all time, and it's literally an anime about a zombie vampire apocalypse, to put it very simply. In other words, people coming back from the dead is literally the plot. Moreover, it's not treated casually like it is in a lot of other anime that deal with the undead. Shiki presents us with a more scientific view of the dead coming back to life. So instead of everyone just chucking it up.
But like the dead coming back to life, and then you list the Naruto as like the biggest culprit of like resurrection. Are you for fucking real?
Like, no, she said supernatural.
Yeah, that was supernatural as well.
Especially Japanese media is not just known for, I'd say, artistically obsessed with giving you explanations about everything. Similar to how science fiction in the US and Europe was in the 50s and 60s, where you got these short stories and comic books that had blueprints of the spaceships or weapons that they used or space stations on like an insane level of engineering that you if you had the materials and the technology to build something in space, you could actually build this stuff. Not that it would work, but on that level. And the Japanese love to explain how and why things work in their stories in a similar fashion.
I don't think this is about anime. I just think she likes anime, and because she's expressionful of all these experiences she's had, she likes talking about it. It's like, well, this is what I've encountered. It's like, how about you just read and watch stories that aren't anime? And they have some of these here and there as well. And you, again, go to TV Tropes, you'll see the live action stuff, the comic book stuff. It's all whether or not the story explains itself. That's really, it's the same with any trope, really. If you find a romance that's boring, a love triangle that doesn't work to you, it's like, why doesn't it work? And you list the reasons. You say, this is not as fun, the characters aren't as exciting, I can't see myself wanting to be with this person because they're too weird, but maybe this person could, but I can't understand that. It's basic comprehension of the narrative. It doesn't matter if it's spaceships or Jesus pushing the rock away somehow. Like, I don't care. Like, does it make sense to you, and why not? And she could have said, look at this anime, and just go down the list. This is where it's good. And she said that about ReZero, I think. And but time travel. It's like, no, it's not good because of time travel. There's no resurrection if there's time travel. Everything gets reset, so it doesn't make a difference.
I would also make a big difference between resurrection and undead.
Which she did not do properly with.
Undead aren't, that's not resurrected people. That's, in most cases, you could interpret that as a failed resurrection.
Yep.
I feel like this entire video is just a glorified rant of hers. It's like that doesn't have like any structure to it.
I can. There is a kernel of truth here that if you use it wrong, it's shit. Yes.
This is like she's peeled the second layer of the onion, but there's like 7 more, and she didn't bother to inspect that. She says, "Oh, look what I found." And you're like, "You're not wrong, but you're looking at it from this surface level." And if you just actually watched, I don't know, Dragon Ball, whatever she says she doesn't like, you would pay attention to the narrative and say, well, it's right there. And you could listen to fans on Reddit about Dragon Ball. Oh, Goku keeps getting resurrected. It's like, can you tell me where and why and how? Because it's not hard to follow, and there are rules.
Yeah. Even how much I don't like it, but at least like there's always like some kind of context that explains it.
Yeah. It's not just, here's the magic resurrection machine like in Mass Effect 2. We just threw money at it, and boom, we got a new Shepard. It's like, how'd it work? Miranda, you solved the problem of death. How'd you do it? Well, it was just need enough resources. Like, what?
I don't know.
I was wondering if we were going to mention Mass Effect 2 at any point.
Well, it just popped in my head because I was like, there's some stupid examples of resurrection she could have brought up. Exactly. And Mass Effect 2 is always in Smut's head. It's just so
next to 3.
It's so like, how could you possibly just hand wave? Oh yeah, no. It took 2 years. Yeah, it's fine. He's fine. He's back to normal. He's good. Everything's fine. All his body parts, Oh, we also upgraded him too. We don't know how. We didn't say how, but he's basically a Terminator, but we don't know in what capacity.
Honestly, the whole Shepard dying thing, that would have had more of an impact if it happened at the end of Mass Effect 1 and you had like a little scene with like Miranda and the Elusive Man at the end of Mass Effect 1 saying we can bring him back.
Thank you.
And that kind of leads into Mass Effect 2. That would have more of an impact.
I want
in my opinion.
I wanted something to connect with something else, and that's just the problem with at least BioWare making bridging DLC. We need to make a bridge to connect. It was Dragon Age, did it with Mass Effect. We need more context. It's like, no shit. You should have written that into the original story. Don't make DLC to connect other things. That's silly.
I honestly couldn't care about the Dragon Age DLCs. I just skipped all of them. Just 2.
Well, yeah.
Was that a mistake?
It was Dragon Age 2's. Which one was it called? It was basically his dad's like Hawk's dad, who caused Corypheus to be Corypheus. And there's this whole dungeon. It's all this bullshit. And you're like, this is stupid. This is really dumb. But that's why we have Inquisition, because of Hawk's dad. Oh.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a bridging DLC.
Oh god. In Dragon Age 1, as long as you got the Shale DLC, you're fine.
Yes, I agree.
That's hilarious.
And what was it called? Yeah, I want to find the name for it.
That rocks.
Not the Exiled Prince. Is it Legacy? I think it's Legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, Legacy.
It's so
I don't know. In the box we had, there was like a special redeem code to get it, and maybe I'm mistaking that for another one, but it seemed like that this actual content DLC seemed limited to only a couple people that bought the right edition, which seemed really strange to me at the time.
Oh, only for a year, by the way. Like, you can buy the Ultimate Edition a year after, which has everything.
Okay, because I thought like this is really stupid that you would lock something like this as an exclusive that the people who buy the normal edition can't buy. That was. Are you insane?
All right, we are 2/3 done. Oh, jeez, it's gonna take another 4 minutes. Let's go.
Maybe she has like a 2-minute outro.
Vampires.
Yeah.
We're presented with symptoms, analysis, denial, experimentation, and finally, evidence. And something else I really like about it is that unlike a lot of other anime that deal with the undead, not everyone who's killed by the undead become undead themselves. Some people die for real.
Okay, so all she's doing is explaining the lore of the details of... I don't know why she's talking about undead, but she is. Like this I like the details of world building. It's like it explains things. Thank you. That's what we're trying to get through your head.
She's really obsessed about death. Like if people like actually die. So like maybe even like she like came when 9/11 happened.
So edgy happy. Teenage girl obsessed with vampires and shit. Oh, yeah, of course.
It's so cool. So edgy.
Most boring non-character that ever existed.
Does she draw like angels with wings in her notebook at school?
One-winged angels.
Some glorious.
Like, are they? Do they have like white makeup with like the black tear running down? Mascara. Yeah.
Death of the goth scene.
Yeah.
No way for sure whether or not they'll rise until after they die. Shiki goes out of its way to explain to you in what ways the dead are coming back to life. It shows you the why and the how, and yet also saying that not everyone killed will rise. Both are things that many anime that deal with the undead lack. Evangelion would fall somewhere on this spectrum too, but...
Oh no.
Ow.
Another possible exception is when this trope is used.
She doesn't want to talk about it.
What was that about? Evangelion. What? No.
Evangelion doesn't have any of that shit.
We have clones. We have clones, honey.
Asuka comes back at the very end.
Oh. No.
The end doesn't even matter because it's a finale and that is that's something completely different.
Did you hear there's a new one coming up?
Yeah, no, it's not a new one. It's actually just an update for the latest movie. But like the best thing about that shit is that when it was running in Japan, only in Japan, like the 4th rebuild movie, like Anno decided to like patch the movie, like 5 minutes of it or something like that. So while the movie was still in, there was like a 1.8 001 version of the movie. With some extra content, and now there's gotta be a 1.11 version of the movie.
No, there was a time in my teenage years, Hideaki really knows what he's doing and is just this artist that's out there trying to make his vision somehow, but ran out of money, and that's why it failed. And he's doing these really artsy movies like Ritual. And the more I learn about him and how he works, the more I think, like, dude, just stop. Just fucking stop. You don't know what you're doing. You can't make the whole bloody thing. So just let it sit. Once you're done with the fucking script, let it sit. In your case, not for a month. Let it sit for a year. Let it sit for 5 years.
It doesn't work because he was waiting like 10 years to make the fourth one of the rebuilds. And
but not start then. He have it already written 10 years ago and tweak it for 10 years. When the thing that you then bring out, then you're still tweaking after you release it. Like you're just bad. I'm sorry. It's just
it's
bad.
But there's gotta be an extra character, Whisp. Now you can finally watch it.
The fifth girl, the sixth girl. Which one is it? I can't remember. It's too many.
I think like that screenshot was actually just the sister character for the
Probably.
Shinji has a sister now.
No, one of her classmates had a sister.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Why?
It's fine. It's fine. It's
why?
Or his?
Anyway.
Of never saw their dead body, we just assume that they're dead. But this only works like half the time. This is very much a case-by-case basis thing.
That was just one fucking episode, Jojo.
Are more survivable than others. For example,
don't.
Mello escaped an exploding base. Half of his face is scarred up, and we can assume from the fact that we don't hear from him for a while that he takes a while to recover, but he lived. Yeah, there have been people who have survived worse. That's plausible. But you know it's not plausible? Our good buddy from earlier, Jesus Yamato, the absolute definition of main characteritis, who took a self-destruct explosion point blank, was missing for a few episodes, and then lo and behold, there he is. And of course, let us not also forget the time he took on another giant nuclear bomb-esque explosion point blank in a duel with Shin, in which his
actually this reminds me of like Code Geass's Suzaku, because Lulu curses him that like I don't want you to die or something like along those lines.
Yeah.
And the character just can't die. He's gonna do everything in his power to survive. So he's pretty much like an immortal.
Gingerman, could you comment on this, or was Lala the one that knows all the Gundam stuff?
I've got nothing on Gundam. It was Lale.
Yeah, no,
Okay, then it was Lale.
Even I don't know much. My buddy, this is way back in like high school, I think. My buddy watched. He really liked Gundam Wing and Gundam Seed, and I was like, all right. I mean, they're not bad, but I just wasn't. It wasn't for me. It was not my style of Gundam.
Which one's the one that had Shining Finger?
Oh, that's
No, that's totally different.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
Yeah, but generally,
Best of Asia.
Generally, I will agree. If you do this, you better have a good explanation why all you have is some band-aids on afterwards. Because then why should your enemy be dead either?
Yeah, I know. This is just stupid.
It's G Gundam, Ginga. G Gundam.
Okay.
Anyway.
his Mo was impaled, and yeah. Care to guess what happened?
I thought I killed you.
Yo, you felt wrong. Now it's time for me to sing my song. Well,
in summary, if an anime's reason for bringing someone back to the dead doesn't align with one of those reasons and probably feels more like a shitty way to assure the production company that they don't have to change all the images on their marketing material because Henry heart conditions or Linda lung cancer died, then yeah, it's a shitty reason for bringing a character back to life and probably tainted what might have been an otherwise good narrative. The shitty reason can come in the form of anything from the power of friendship, plot armor, LOL vampires, a forbidden technique that someone wants to use anyways, magic, main characteritis,
okay, so
super science.
Sailor Moon is basically a god.
Yeah, the thing with, what was his name? Oshimaru? Like, he's developed a technique to extend his life. That's fine.
Orochimaru.
He's a snake.
named after a mythological being in Japanese folklore.
Yeah, like some of these examples, I don't think she knows what she's talking about. And
Orochimaru is basically some evil god thing. That's what he's named after. So having that kind of weird, fucked up powers.
Yeah, but
okay.
All the 3 sages, I think, from Naruto were like super powerful. Like, what's her name? Tsunade could extend her life with whatever powers of medicine she learned. The sage dude, or the frog, what's it, Jiraiya? He started learning.
Jiraiya.
He started learning, what was it, sage mode or whatever? Also extending his life. So they're all like super powerful, and the different.
I think she'd be fine with life extension.
Yeah, but that's this, like, she's not even saying what the right thing is. It's like, oh, this is bullshit. It's like, no, it's not. It's explaining the narrative.
It's basically certain versions of life extensions or cheating death techniques are bordering on resurrection, or if they are not just that, like what original Piccolo does in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. Because he spits out an egg with a clone of himself. That I think does he have his memories? The new one.
He at least has a basic understanding of who he used to be and what his end goal is, which was to get back at Kami, kill Goku for revenge, and all that.
Okay, so he basically has an engram inside, but he is his own person then.
He has the imprint of of who he used to be. Yes, at the very least. And even then, the whole thing with the reincarnation with the egg, I think it is still debated whether that's just a Demon King Piccolo thing or just straight up Namekian thing, given what Dragon Ball Z would end up revealing.
I'm not sure if I don't remember the Namekians doing anything like that at any point.
Well, the point is that we have explanations for some of these animes that she's just glossing over, which is not fair.
Sudden plot twist. More fighters are needed for the upcoming big fight. Backup body. This isn't even my final form.
Backup? No. Those other rays are all the individual things. They do not know what the previous ray was doing. That is not resurrection at all.
I don't think we can use Kingdom Hearts as a good example of anything. It's just
absolutely.
Kingdom Hearts is just a mindfuck.
Yeah, but look, there's lots of confusing bullshit in Neon Genesis Evangelion, but to ever think that the Ray clones are a form of resurrection is garbage. Yeah, because that's the twist. Shinji thinks she's back, or that she was just injured or something, but then learns himself that this isn't the same person. Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, the dummy is the actual dummy plug project. Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
It's like she's not paying attention.
Yeah,
I might say it's like the Kingdom Hearts thing is already a mindfuck on its own. Imagine for someone like me who does know all the details and has put it together, it's an even bigger mindfuck than it should be.
I just keep thinking of the Pro Z, or the Pro, what's that guy's name? Yeah, he talks about the. I think the darkness is going to destroy the light. I think the light's going to destroy the darkness. You're like, I don't know what's going on here. Oh my God, is that Woody?
Yeah, and then they try to redeem the bastard at the last second, saying that light was the problem. No, we were literally shown every step of the way that darkness was the problem. Don't give us that shit at the last second. Fuck off.
Oh my God, it's like an edgy Redditor atheist made bad guy of the show.
It feels like that one Redditor, like, trying to reconcile everything is like saying that light was the problem when we've clearly seen that it's darkness. No, thank you.
Anyway, let's not dwell on this.
Kingdom Hearts 3 can go fuck itself for that.
Let's just keep.
Fuck you, Disney.
And Square. And Nomura.
Pretending to be dead, the sequel, to name a few. But let's get back to the FMA example at the beginning, because this series is the antithesis to this trope. Okay. It's the vaccine anime desperately needs but chooses to ignore because it thinks it'll get AIDS or something. I don't know, something stupid. FMA is a very emotionally gripping show. You mentioned, Nina, you so much as mentioned
Hi,
Nina
doggy.
Anywhere on the internet, and even though it was a very short arc, everyone instantly
Nothing to
knows
do
what
with
you're
the
talking
argument.
about and instantly gets sad because her
Get
death
on with it.
carried a
I
lot
thought
of
you said the
weight.
original
She
FMA
never
sucked.
came back, like everyone else in that show. FMA
This is
respects
Brotherhood.
its dead characters, making
Both
it
have this.
very easy for the viewer to also respect
This
its
is the
dead
part that both
characters.
kept.
And that's part of the reason why deaths are so especially sad in FMA, because you know you're not going to see them again. Their deaths have ramifications, very unlike pretty much any other shonen show out there.
So wasn't
How about when Krillin died a second time in Dragon Ball Z? Did that not mean anything?
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't the original time they tried to bring their mother back? Wasn't that creating a homunculus?
That was
Yes, it technically did it in the
It
background.
was envy.
In the first FMA show. In the second, it's just a failed pile of goop.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like that initial attempt at resurrection, wasn't that the inciting incident of the entire show?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it put the brother in a cage, essentially, in
Yeah.
a metallic body.
This is kind of like, let's say I want to talk about how much I love a game because it turns everything on its head. So Planescape Torment takes the idea of a game, a video game world, and turns everything on its head. It turns fantasy on its head, and nothing comes close to it. Everything else sucks. They don't know what they're doing, but the Nameless One is awesome, and his story is great, and da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, okay, but there are other stories out there that do stuff like that, like KOTOR 2 and Alpha Protocol. They turn the spy genre on its head. So there's nothing wrong with liking other stories with these same elements. It's just that she seems to have this hard-on for Fullmetal Alchemist because it's the antithesis of all the other. It's like, no, it's not.
Bad faith interpretation of her point would be that she has a hard-on for characters definitely dying.
I guess. Therefore, good story? It's like, no, honey, that's not. There's plenty of cool deaths all throughout stories, not just anime, that also involve resurrection. Not necessarily them, but in the story itself. And we see a lot.
All depends on how it's done.
Yeah, it's all on how it's done, how it's presented, whether it makes sense or not. Whether the audiences go, "Huh? Superman's back? How? How could there be four of them? That doesn't make any sense." So, it's discovering that mystery and explaining that nature of this impossibility. It doesn't necessarily have to be resurrection. It could be anything. And
yeah, Disney Star Wars did it bad for one.
I think
Holy
did a lot of
carpet
things
fire.
bad. Yeah, did a lot of things bad. Resurrection was one of them. Oh boy. Okay, we got a minute left.
We're almost done.
I know. This is one fangirl just getting emotional.
The antithesis to the trope, as opposed to something like, say, Death Note, that's just a follower of the school of dead characters will stay dead, is that FMA goes out of its way to tell you that it's like this. It shows you what happens when you try to revive a dead character. It fails. Miserably. Brutally. So it's not just saying that dead characters stay dead, but that in trying to bring them back will only make the situation worse. So in other words, don't even fucking try it. It's a waste of your...
So wait a second. She likes FMA just because the attempt has consequences. That's it.
Cause and effect.
That's it. Not that it was a successful or unsuccessful, but it has consequences. Like what? What kind of?
She probably likes Half-Life as well. Unforeseen consequences.
That don't you besmirch Half-Life by just.
This is such a strange reason. Oh, it talks about what happens in detail. It's like, that's fine. So do other narratives. Only those resurrections work. What is strange way of putting it?
Oh, by the way, that note is also good because the dead people stay dead.
Thanks.
Oh,
good.
She kind of feels like overly sarcastic, like younger, high-pitched sister to me.
Did she list Madoka as a positive or negative example?
Madoka and everything else that had time travel in them is positive in her book. Because the time travel mechanic is justifying the need that you have to resurrect the character.
Okay.
But
even in Madoka, that didn't even happen until the very end, where the actual story is revealed. Because that's the big twist of what was really going on.
Okay. Anyway, 30 seconds.
Your time and will only make things worse. It's not worth it because, as I stated in the beginning, fuck you and fuck the shonen anime you clearly just finished marathoning.
All right, we're good. What a weird ending, honey. Jesus, calm down.
Fuck you,
fuck
you. What you tell me?
You're showing anime sucks. Okay, we get it. Jesus. Streams.
I'd say she has potential, but
nope.
She definitely has an attraction for 240k, but I can't see it.
Am I in the right stream memes? I can't tell.
Yeah, but what I mean is I think she has potential to make good content, but this year doesn't justify 300,000 views.
She's just an emotional girl, and I hate people who make these videos like they have something important to say.
Yeah.
It's all just feeling. I feel this. Look at Fullmetal Alchemist. It's good because it has resurrection done well. It's like that's not a good reason.
Or it's Mud.
All right, so here we have clearly a Toriyama character.
Yes.
Omega Shenron.
And he's doing his morning exercises.
Yeah. Yes. Which another fun fact about the dub. Another thing I'll give the dub is that originally the Shadow Dragons, there's 7 Shadow Dragons, and this one is the 1-star ball. When they come together, his voice doesn't change. But in the dub, when the 7 Shadow Dragons form Omega Shenron, it's literally the same voice as the actual Shenron.
Cool.
So I'll give them that for that little thematic element to Dragon Balls coming together. Oh no, the original furry fantasy, Super Saiyan 4.
Yeah, well, luckily they don't show it. Oh no.
This may look better, but the hair dye is stronger. Deal with it.
Hey, baby. Ready for me to show you what these fingers do? Ooh, Poppy, tell me. Leaving you. Bye. I read that in the abridged voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's more.
Super 17.
Super 17.
Yeah. He's older.
He has more chin.
Actually,
it's actually some incest, interdimensional incest.
Incest, more like masturbation. It's the original 17 combined with an entirely new 17 that Jiro and Dr. Miu create when in Hell.
Oh my god, my own clone! Now neither of us will be virgins.
The 2 17s merge into this thing.
I'm just flesh.
Oh god, oh god.
What?
Dub is trash. Watch the anime.
Yes, Super Android 13.
I would assume that one's been cut from the German version.
Everything is cut from the German version, except Hitler from FMA.
No, but yes, I wouldn't know, but it's still funny.
This is amazing.
Are you?
I just love it.
What, the next one?
Oh yeah, that one too. This is good.
Captain Pollution.
Look, aside from the shit in his face, he's the more based character.
Hate, smog, deforestation, toxics, super radiation.
Yeah, those are the powers that combine into Captain Pollution.
The power of hate. Okay.
Well, I mean, Captain Planet has heart, so
yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
Fire. Yeah.
It's so surprisingly close to the left.
There he is, Mr. Oh my.
Yes.
There's Frieza.
Yes. They call directly back to this when they resurrect Frieza later on, and they even bring up the fact that he's even weaker than Majin Buu, and that he, for once in his life, he has to train to catch up to Goku and Vegeta.
There's the $8 million. Was it $8 million man? Or $7 million man? I can't remember the name
I
of
think
it.
it's seven.
Six.
What?
Or
Can we
$6
build
million.
them?
Yep.
$6
There it
million
is.
dollars.
I know it.
Like that's cheap. That's cheap. Like you could, with the budget the U.S. military has now, they could battalions of super soldiers.
Well, $6 million was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, just before inflation. Yeah, you got to think about that.
Yeah.
The gold
The
standard.
fuck?
We're still on.
Not that much.
Yeah.
Not that much these days.
What the fuck?
Better. Stronger. Faster.
Is this a Daft Punk song?
Essentially, that's where they got it, but
Of course.
yeah. Cool idea. I love the.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Elongated vowels. Thank you for the $6 million Frieza. Okay, we'll watch that.
Going on.
Okay.
Oh, shit. What the? Peter, what happened?
There is the life sewing alchemist dog, I believe, or was that his daughter? I can't remember.
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Very evil memes.
These two are inseparable. Carlos.
Shut up. Don't know what it is.
There he is. Coolest character isn't in Brotherhood. He's in.
Greed was fun in the original.
He's not an android. He's just using his iron
In the first one,
his
I mean.
blood to make his body.
Yeah. But the first series, Greed was, I liked him. He was a good character.
Oh, he used his bones. He used calcium in his bones to make his skin hard. Oh my God! Is that Woody? Yeah. Why would you clip that, Mike?
5 seconds.
Go watch the Pros D clip of him talking about Kingdom Hearts. It's pretty much.
It's hilarious. It's so on spot.
Black man dies first. Black man gets revived, giving a different protagonist a chance to die first. Black man still dies first anyway. Jojo. There he is. Next, you'll see I was only pretending to be retarded. Jojo Joseph Death.
Oh my God!
Pose Death. And Caesar Pose. Voice actor, oh my God. And Avdol. Nice wife stand. Okay. Dio, where is Danny? Oh, no.
Oh my God, no. It's horrible.
That's really bad.
You might as well have edited that to include the noose on the one on the right. Fucking.
Here's the last one. Oh, my.
Yeah.
This is the German version.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The bloody show makes no sense.
Frickin' hell is happening?
One on the right might as well have a noose.
That's what I'm telling you. The German version of that show makes zero sense.
This is like the first season, I think.
Yeah, this is the first. This is one of the first major bosses, isn't it?
Yeah, the first
You
mission.
can't even hurt a tree.
Speaking of Pros ED.
There he is.
There he is. Well, I'm not going to play it, but yeah, definitely check it out. Go to the Discord and click on the Smudcast Stream Memes channel and scroll all the way down. Good stuff. All right. Well, I didn't mind the video as crazy as it was. I wasn't expecting much, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. So
it's not as bad as Red.
It's fine for him.
Yeah. She has the capabilities of having a conversation, but she's not a fan. She's not what I would.
She can use words.
She can use words. She can't use her memory, or she did not pay attention, which is sad. And I hate to be
think
elitist.
she needs a little more depth. That would help a lot.
I hate to be the guy who's like, well, I'm a bigger geek. It's like, well, did you watch the shows? Did you read the mangas? I think you're missing some context there. But that happens all the time. Even with me and God of War, I totally forgot about the mobile games or the various other games aside from 1 to 3 that had a lot more story going on. So, yeah, I'm not as good a fan as I should be. Anyway, that was cool. I enjoyed it. German science is always the world's finest.
Thank you.
And Stroheim is cool. There you go. So, watch better shows is what we're trying to say. Have yourself a good evening. Thank you for paying attention. We'll talk to you guys real soon. Good night.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Goodbye.